The following has been brought to you by SJP World Media.
You're listening to In the Corner with Benny Mac. Unfiltered, uncensored, and unforgiving. Here's the man in the corner, Benny Mac.
Still in the corner of the room. Episode 52 of In the Corner with myself, Benny Mac. Well, we are a bit of a day late, so I apologise for that. But either way, we are going to be talking some Raw. And obviously, we got to talk Backlash. It was actually a really, really good event, at least from my point of view, and hopefully from my point of view of my tag team partner from across the pond. Tyler, welcome back to the show, my friend.
BenNny Mac, how are you, my friend? Yes, we are going to be talking all things Backlash, Monday Night Raw, and hey, you'll get wrestling news sometimes, but hey, my partner from across the pond in the UK, I'm just so excited. Let's do it. Let's talk some wrestling.
Mate, man, Backlash was, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of, I was looking forward to it, but I don't think my hype was fully there. And one of the main reasons was Seth versus Omos. I was like, really? But actually, they only did one promo, and actually, I was like, oh, do you know what? I kind of want to see this. But Backlash,
yeah, me too.
Backlash as a whole. I mean, for me personally, I thought it was actually a really good show. Better than it probably was. I don't know. It was just better. I don't know how really. I mean, what did you think?
I thought it was too. Yeah, I think our expectations were not set very high, especially following WrestleMania. And I got to tell you, I just, my takeaways were, can we have more backlashes that resemble what we witnessed this past weekend? It was tremendous.
I mean, the crowd, obviously, again, and you can say all the wrestling matches were really good this past weekend at Backlash, but the crowds make it, and they were into it, weren't they? They were really into it.
The crowds make a difference. They paid huge dividends. The Puerto Rican community that's down there in that country, also San Juan. I mean, they love professional wrestling. They're passionate. We all know the great territory stories and the history that they have. It showed not only on SmackDown that led into Backlash and then what we got on Saturday night. It was just a whole unique kind of feel compared to even the North American audiences. It's kind of like what I've gave you all props over in the UK. There's just something different, and that's no disrespect to my fellow countrymen or North American crowd. It is. There was something very special for these events. It felt different. There was a little bit more realism that there should be in wrestling, because I know we get the sports entertainment mantra, but I don't know. It's hard to describe. It was electric, as Gorilla Monsoon used to say. I'll borrow a term from the legend himself.
No, you've just described that perfectly. Yeah, it really was. The vibe was amazing. I didn't watch the pre-show or anything. I know there was one, but they were actually. I think they were still in Connecticut, weren't they? So they weren't actually there. So you couldn't get a true read.
They were jealous of Wade Barrett, and I got to tell you, I was jealous after he got that drink from that lady. I want to be in Puerto Rico too. I'm gonna be transparent.
Oh mate, but it was a good show. I mean, even I said at the top of the show here, I wasn't necessarily looking forward. Initially, I said on the show, I've said on the show openly, I wasn't necessarily initially maybe into the Seth Omos, but actually, this is one of the matches. Actually, really, I can't. Do you know what? I'm looking at this card now actually, and yes, some were better than others, but not by much. I can't pick a match of the night. I think if I really have to, and again, it depends on what you pick, but I think the San Juan Street fight was actually better than it was ever allowed to be, if that makes any sense. Like, it was really good.
It makes perfect sense. Yeah, I don't think anybody was expecting Bad Bunny and Damian Priest to have that good of a contest, especially with a stipulation like a San Juan Street fight. So, no, it's hard to disagree with you. I know we need to disagree more, but it's tough, though, when you've got a solid card like Backlash delivered.
And bearing in mind, ladies and gents, no heavyweight championship defended. So how good, if you stuck Roman on there as well, it would have, I think it would have surpassed WrestleMania, to be honest with you. It might
have. I mean, because even as good as WrestleMania, some of those matches in one night, this program accomplished so much. I mean, it would be hard not to make the argument that, hey, this could have been actually better. Yeah, the only thing missing, like you were saying, Roman Reigns was not on the card, didn't defend his title. Hey, that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't. It didn't have a. I don't think this pay-per-view had a great build, really. Not, but so maybe that's why our expectations were low. But then it just absolutely drop kicked us in the face and was really good. So
No, it did. It drop kicked us. It super kicked us. It stunned us. You could draw a lot of parallels.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
BenNny. Yeah, but there was not a lot of build. It was just like, okay, WrestleMania is over. We'll promote it that it's in Puerto Rico. Some of the matches, there wasn't a long build because, before long, sure, that was the first April WrestleMania. Then we know how fast time goes. Then you're right to the 1st of May where this transpired. And yeah, considering they didn't have a lot of long-term storytelling and some of these matches felt kind of put together. You mentioned Seth Rollins taking on Omos. And then it still being a pretty darn good matchup. Just tells you a little bit about how us fans, not only do we get fickle, we get a little frustrated. We're not understanding why this guy's losing or why they're pushing so and so, and then it all comes together. And that's why I love it. We're getting payoffs out of these premium live events, and that's what it needs to do. That's the achievement, I think, for creative. I'm just sharing my perspective. It's not like I've got the phone. I'm calling up Michael Hayes, Road Dogg, Triple H. Hey, good job, guys. Let me pat you on the back. They don't need that, but I think it's great that they're hearing from the fans, even the disgruntled ones, going, "What are you doing on Raw and SmackDowns and these house shows, especially pertaining to TV?" And then it all comes together. That's what I love about these kind of programs. A Backlash.
Yeah. No, I can't say any better. You've hit something there, man. Again, great show. I know we got to talk about it. Very quickly though.
Yeah, we do.
I think this is my second win ever. I think against yourself.
Yeah, he's going to brag, and I even was teasing BenNny. I was through the messages off air or one day this week. I was after it happened. I'm like, oh, he finally got me. Because we were doing the predictions, and I was trying to remember, how we fared, and he sure did. Your host, the great BenNy Mac, proved he was great again, and he got one over on me.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
I need to go back in the archive and figure out who's actually winning overall. But we're doing it month by month, aren't we? Really, so it is what it is. But I think we got everything right, Tyler. Bar maybe. I think the only match we didn't get right. Obviously, I know. I'm not poking you here. I know you got the 6-man tag match wrong.
Right.
But the one that we both got.
He's not poking me.
But the one we both got wrong was the San Juan Street fight, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So, but everything else, mate, we got dead right. So I think we did pretty well, to be honest. It's a bit of fun. I know we're not pretending to be experts here, but
no, it was just loads of fun. It was just nice to do these predictions like you would a sporting event. So it was very neat. And yeah, we did well, except for that one matchup you just aforementioned. And yeah, we'll discuss it, man. There's a lot to pick apart in this card. It was very solid, though. That's what I was impressed about it. You think, oh, a show coming after WrestleMania. We've had the WrestleMania Backlash, the two titles together, because they were continuing more of the stories, which they kind of did here, but it was a lot more thrown together kind of concepts, but it still worked out.
I think overall the main thing that was, in terms of story, obviously the Seth Rollins match leads into Monday, which we'll talk about, but the biggest one for me was the Bloodline one, which again we'll talk about in a minute. So let's stop talking about the ones I want to talk about. Let's quickly, not that I don't want to talk about any of these, but I mean there are particular ones I really want to talk about, is what I'm getting at. But the Raw Women's Championship match, which actually kicked off the show,
it did. It was the first match.
Yeah, Bianca Belair taking on Io Sky. A pretty good match, actually, to be honest. And I will admit, as this was going on, we both picked Bianca Belair here. But as this match was going on, I'm thinking Io Sky might do it here, because I'm playing the draft thing in my head as well. So, I mean, what do you think of this one?
No, I thought it was actually very good. You talk about two different styles contrasting one another. We all had a feeling Bianca was going to retain, but I'll tell you, the Puerto Rican crowd were behind and in firm support of Io Sky. They were wanting her to win, so it made you have that expectation or feeling, hey, we could see a title change. And I'll tell you, Io Sky, I like how I know she's known for her aerial type of attack, excuse me, but she worked in the arm. She showed her technical prowess here against Bianca because it took away her power. They were relaying it on commentary. It was all part of the story within the matchup. And I'll tell you, some of the highlights, Bianca Belair, not only did we know how she is the strongest, the fastest, the best right now, the EST, however she words it. But to do that with one arm, to lift up Io Sky and selling the arm that Io Sky was really targeting it was unreal. And there was just so many highlights. I just like how we expect one wrestler, because the way they're presented, to go out there and do what we're conditioned after seeing them, how they have certain matches, and then they change it up. I think that's very important, and it's a key element to the storytelling process. I mean, what are your thoughts? Because I'm in agreement. I thought this was a good way to start off the show, have the Raw Women's Championship match. I do agree with Bianca going over, but this has gave Io Sky some momentum to where maybe she breaks away from Damage Control and we see her eventually become a women's champion of some sort.
I agree 100%. Obviously, during the match, Dakota and Bayley especially get involved and stuff, and we kind of thought that might happen. Like maybe it would be inadvertent interference. That bit you're talking about with Bianca Belair lifting her up one arm, Io Sky landing on her face. I was like, oh my god.
It looked rough. I mean, you just felt the pain for her.
Yeah, but I've been quite, I don't want to sit, like I said, this isn't that type of show. We've got a spade's a spade sometimes. But, I've not been like overly fussed with Bianca. I'm not taking anything away from her. She had a great run as Raw Women's Champion. But some of the stuff has been very, not just her, the whole women's division has felt a bit lacking. But this was actually a really good match. So whether it's because it's Io Sky, it's a new, fresh face for Bianca, maybe that's part of it. Maybe this the crowd as well. But the match was good. So I really, I wasn't expecting to enjoy it probably as much as others, but I really did enjoy this one. So
I thought the ladies did what they needed to do. Io Sky just proved why she was great in NXT, much like Bianca, because that's what's impressive. We've mentioned this a lot, Benny. Even if you're not aware of NXT, developmental systems of all these professional wrestling companies, it tells you a lot that, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair's, you could use Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn's. I mean, Roman Reigns back before it was NXT, Florida. What was it? Florida Wrestling or something like that.
Yeah, Florida Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, Florida Championship Wrestling. Thank you. That's why he's the tag team partner. I made the tag, folks. But the thing was that's the thing, is that Triple H and his team, and going back to Dusty Rhodes, have crafted the future. And we're seeing more of the future being developed currently. But it's helped Vince McMahon and it's helped WWE because we've seen so many main event matches from NXT alum. And that's the thing, Io Sky, and not all of them have made it well on the roster, but a very select few. But with Triple H, they've got more confidence. I think Io Sky, you're right. Great point. It's a different opponent. We got so used to seeing Bianca take on, so many opponents that it felt too much the same. Maybe that's why it came to be lackluster, and Io Sky just gives her something fresh because of her style, just because of that presentation they have over in Japan, but they carried over to North America.
Right, I'm just looking at this card now. You mentioned NXT, and I got really annoyed when NXT changed 2.0, and apparently it was because it wasn't producing enough of stars, allegedly. I think it was probably more to do with money, but either way. But I'm looking at this card, right? So I'm going to go through the card. We're going to talk about the next match in a second. But Bianca Belair came from NXT. Io Sky came from NXT. Seth freaking Rollins came from NXT. Omos, I'm not sure about. Austin Theory came from NXT. Bronson Reed came from NXT. Rhea Ripley, NXT, UK, NXT. Zelina Vega, same. Managed Cien Almas as NXT World Champion down there. Damian Priest came from NXT. Matt Riddle came from NXT. Kevin Owens came from NXT. Sami Zayn came from NXT. And you're telling me NXT didn't produce any stars? They're all over this fucking card.
Yeah, I mean, they're what's making the show successful. I
Yes.
mean, your premium live events dating back before we saw the Rhea Ripley's, Austin Theories. That's what I'm saying. That's where Becky Lynch. That's where we got the
Yeah.
Baileys.
Yeah.
That's where we got the Shield and everybody. They had to start somewhere. FTR was there. Even AEW's got a lot of the former WWE stars like Adam Cole. They're from NXT, and I mean, after they were successful on the independents, they needed some more formal training. So they went to, no offense to any other place, but eventually, even if you're in a independent promotion or an NWA, with all due respect to them, and I wish them the best, you're eventually wanting to make it to the WWE just because they're the more established, more experienced. It's a
Yes.
no-brainer.
Yeah. They've been in business a lot
think
longer.
about the exposure you get. Yeah.
Successfully in business a lot longer, I should say, because obviously NWA was a territory and all that kind of stuff back in the day, and it was a National Wrestling Alliance. So there we go. But yeah, I always get annoyed when people say they didn't produce any stars, and there's people coming up now onto the Raw roster that are hopefully gonna. Not everybody's come to the main roster has done well. Apollo Crews is one I can think of who came up, didn't quite do very well for some reason, and then went back to NXT.
He went back, yeah.
Yeah, and now he's coming back again. So hopefully this time it'll be different. So we'll soon find out. Let's move on with the matches because that's a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah, I know. It's easy to get on these tangents because it kind of relates, even though people are going, why are they veering off? But just stay with us, folks, because that's the neat thing about doing these podcasts. You just never know where it's going to take us.
Eventually to the end, but yeah, I know you're right.
Well, maybe the finish. Speaking of finishes.
Yeah, speaking of finishes, yeah. Speaking of finishes, Seth freaking Rollins did defeat Omos at Backlash, which we again both had right. But again, a match that I wasn't expecting. Again, no disrespect to Seth or even Omos, to be honest, at this point. There's still more to come from Omos, I think, but Seth Rollins obviously can have pretty good matches with anybody because of the experience he has and what he's accomplished. But yeah, pretty good match actually. To be fair, and I was very intrigued to see how he would deal with Omos, just the size of him.
Me as well, and I was very surprised and taken back because you said it, nothing against Omos, but he's still very inexperienced. But I'm seeing a positive trend with him, and of course MVP gives him that shine, and so does the stars he's been working with. Goes back to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and currently, or just recently, rather, Seth Rollins. And man, Seth Rollins, I think, can make a broomstick be a star. I mean, he has got so many good qualities. I mean, he's one of the best wrestlers for a reason. And I like how Omos started the match out with attacking him with the big boot. Why wait?
Yeah, while he was doing his typical pose.
Seth,
yeah. It was really good.
And Seth Rollins was fighting from underneath, but then it took several double stomps, and then that one where Omos caught him, and then executed the choke slam was very nice. I just like the little sequences and transitions, and I don't mean to belittle them by calling them little ones. It's just I think just every significant detail, I guess, is a better terminology I wanted to use there. But yeah, overall, good matchup. MVP getting up on the apron, then Seth taking him out was good. It's cool to see the managers or ex-wrestlers that can still go take the bumps.
Yeah, no, 100%. With Omos, I was going to say, because obviously Seth Rollins defeats him. Omos hasn't really won any big matches yet. But every time I think maybe this is a slow build, I think, with Omos, because yes, he's losing, but the people he's getting in the ring with, I know, like, obviously it makes Seth look good because he beat a giant, but we're actually starting to see a lot more from Omos, I think, and especially in this match. Yes, at the moment he's not on a... Sorry, go on.
No, his I didn't mean to interrupt. His moveset is getting more advanced as far as he's doing more. I don't mean to say it's getting, innovative necessarily, but he's starting to be more comfortable doing more things.
Yeah, so even though he's not winning matches, I think in the long run, if he keeps going the way he's going, eventually we are going to see almost like the experience kick in for Omos, and he will start dominating a little bit. And I think that's where we're going with it now. Whether, I don't know, again, from an MVP standpoint, from a story standpoint, how much longer does he keep pushing this guy as a giant and can beat anybody when actually he's gone up against some of the top stars and hasn't quite managed it. He's had good matches overall, I think, generally, but from a story standpoint, how much more does MVP put up with,
Well, that's a terrific point, an analogy, because does MVP finally get tired of Omos losing, and he finally turns on him, and then maybe Omos becomes a babyface? But I kind of hate to see that because, man, Omos as a heel, I think there's a lot of potential, obviously, because we've already seen shades of it. So I don't know, but it's good to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it happening.
You could do it in a way where Omos comes off the jerk. You could do it that way. So he's still so, because I think you're right. I think he's better. He would be better as a heel from the time being. Right. But
I see the other way you're putting it too.
But so Seth Rollins did beat him. He ended up doing 3 curb stomps. I think there was a pedigree in there as well. But the third one,
it was, yeah.
Yeah, the third curb stomp came from the. I think it was the second rope, Tyler, or was it top rope? I can't remember.
It may have been the second rope.
I think it was.
We've watched this, but it's hard to remember every step. But I think you are correct, sir. It was a curb stomp from the second rope.
But either way, good match. Better than you would think it would be, put it this way. Again, I think some of that, obviously, I'm not taking anything away from the wrestlers, but obviously the crowd were into it, which, not necessarily at first. As the match went on, actually, to be honest, from the moment that big boot hit Seth, it was like, oh, so getting that cheap shot in early got a lot of heat on Omos as the match, to get it going. So
it got a reaction and exactly what Omos needed for this match.
Yeah, definitely. Again, we got this right. United States Championship triple threat match. Obviously, there was a few speculations here from myself because obviously Bronson Reed is the only Raw guy on there now because of the draft. But Austin Theory does take the win. He defeated Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. A good triple threat match, actually, to be honest. I want to see more. I actually want to see more, which, because they're on the same brand, so hopefully we will. But Bronson and Bobby Lashley. Now, whether that starts as a rivalry and then maybe, do you know what, those two as a tag team could be quite interesting as well, because they're both, even though Bronson Reed doesn't look like it, Bronson Reed can move quickly, so it could be interesting.
Be a lot of potential. It's hard to deny that them as a tandem would do a lot of good things and great business for the company. I'll tell you, I did like this match, and normally I'm kind of iffy on triple threat matches, but we've not seen them a lot. Well, at least till we get to Monday night, but we'll say that for later. But realizing Bobby Lashley was threatening both Theory and Bronson Reed, of course we get the double team, and eventually, Reed, much like it's been on speaking of programs building and leading into this kind of matchup, specifically where, Reed will turn on Theory or vice versa. So I got to tell you, Bronson Reed, and we all know the attributes that make Theory and Lashley special, but what about Bronson Reed? I'm glad you mentioned him, Benny, because the guy not only can move for a big man, he's got the psychology. I'm glad to see him back. Maybe some of these wrestlers just need to go away for us to miss them, go compete in New Japan, go to an Impact, and maybe just reinvent themselves in other places and come back like they're new, like they've been reborn somehow. And
yeah,
I think it's safe to say Bronson Reed fits that category. I've just been, we use the word impressed. I've just been, amazed. I mean, we use all these words at a redundant kind of level, but it's appropriate because, I mean, Bronson Reed, what more can you say? Just that tsunami, but he's got so much more than just a big move. The way his quickness, the way he competes. I can see why Theory, Lashley, and Bronson have these triple threat matches, or why the story is so palatable, because each of these guys have chemistry, and not everybody you can just throw in there is going to have chemistry.
Yeah, you got to have good dance partners. I just realised I got it wrong. It's Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley on SmackDown, and Bronson Reed is actually on Raw, so I apologise on that one. But there's a lot of moves going on. So
no, there's so much going on, Benny. To your defense, I've said it many times. When they do drafts, or even if they don't have drafts, you tend to forget who's all on one program. I mean, we're just being very honest with
all new, in fairness,
with your viewers. Yeah, it's all very fresh.
It all
Indeed.
officially started this Monday, so that but we'll get onto that because there's something, we'll get onto that in a minute. But yeah, really good match. Austin Theory, the way he's going at the moment, he's to the moon, as they say. So it's going to be very
Somebody
interesting.
call Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, well, they did, and he's on Raw.
There you go.
There we go. SmackDown Women's Championship match, Rhea Ripley defeating Zelina Vega in actually a really emotional, and Michael Cole did a great job on commentary to explain what this match meant to Zelina Vega personally.
He did.
Yeah, so I'm not going to give it away necessarily. You need to watch it, but it was really emotional. Not a long match, but actually it went as we expected. But actually, Zelina Vega got some good moves in there. But overall, what we expected, Rhea Ripley retains the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, obviously, I thought maybe Bianca maybe Rhea would lose to Vega to take that SmackDown title to SmackDown, and then she'd enter in that Raw Women's match. But obviously, that was just more of a that could happen speculation thing. But as we took them, we got it right, mate. But overall, I thought this was really, again, one of those matches I wasn't necessarily expecting a lot from, but actually was really good.
Yeah, I mean, Zelina Vega, I think she shows you how good of a performer, meaning wrestler, you could say sports entertainer that she is. Yeah, it was an emotional moment. And like BenNny said, we're not going to spoil it because you need to go watch it for yourself to experience it. I just echo his sentiments. But I will say we did expect Rhea to retain the title. I think they did a good job of just keeping it basic. They did some innovative stuff, especially between the two of them, when meaning Ripley and Vega. But Vega used her quickness with Rhea using the power. And in the end, of course, Rhea Ripley still your SmackDown Women's Champion. But I was happy for Vega to get that moment in Puerto Rico, knowing all the tragedy that's occurred in her life, knowing her story. I really valued it. And I was just happy for both these ladies. I think, and it makes me excited for women's wrestling. I always think it's came a long way with the women's, what do they call it? Revolution, evolution, however they phrase it. It's been wonderful to see and to see Vega, because she was one of the ones that got released, to come back and have this kind of return. And it took her a while for them to build her. And I think they're doing something correct here with aligning her with this LWO faction and helping elevate stars that really were already established, but just needed a restart. And Zelina Vega, I'm just so happy for her, and also Rhea Ripley. I can't say enough great things about the SmackDown Women's Champion. That's just my highlights. I'm not really going to break down the match because sometimes I think it's important what you said, BenNny, that we don't need to go move by move. People, want to go watch it. I mean, it's fine if we bring up certain things, but I think it's important for our audience and for the fellow wrestling fans and wrestling community to go out of their way to check it out.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah, we could go move by move, but we're giving you our opinions. We enjoyed it.
What's the point? Then we're kind of giving it away. Yeah, and
I've
been guilty of that.
I want people to watch
you just
it.
need to go view it.
Yeah, man. Wow. We got to mention this before we get into the street fight, but Savio Vega makes an appearance backstage. I popped quite big for this. I was, oh my god, Savio Vega!
I did too.
I'm not.
Yeah, Savio Vega. Yeah.
I didn't really start watching the WWF until 2000, but because I've liked it so much in my early days, I watched a lot of old tapes and shows and stuff, so I'm aware of these people. So when he came, I was like, oh my god, it's Savio Vega. I was like really popped for it backstage, giving Bad Bunny a Puerto Rican kendo stick. So it was customized basically, wasn't it? But it was so cool to hear that pop from the crowd, and actually it brought a smile to my face to see Savio Vega there.
It was amazing. Yeah. Hey, I couldn't agree anymore with you, BenNny. I marked out myself when I saw Savio backstage. And it did make sense. It's easy to say it after the fact because, hey, Savio Vega, we know he, a big star, not only in with the WWE, but Puerto Rico. But still, it shocked me to see him backstage. To give Bad Bunny, like you said, the kendo stick with the Puerto Rican kind of flag colors was not kind of they were.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Was cool with Rey Mysterio. Yeah, just to see, man, it was like it's so cool because that was one of my first introductions into wrestling. I was watching WCW and the WWF then, and Savio Vega. I became aware of him when he was feuding with Stone Cold Steve Austin, right when Steve Austin was starting to get his rise as the megastar that he was. The matches that he and Savio had, even Steve Austin has said this, they were some of the best matches he had. And he's had a lot of them with a lot of great wrestlers, but he and Savio tore the house down a lot of times. So that's what got me, or at least made me become a fan and respect what Savio Vega brought and contributed to wrestling.
So I need to watch some of those matches, I think, to be honest. Again, he's someone who I know who it is. So again, it was a cool part. And this, again, like I said, the show from start to finish was really good. Even the backstage stuff didn't feel too like...
or was it too much?
Too much, yeah. But that was a very cool moment. So we get into the match, San Juan Street Fight. A great reception for Bad Bunny. We got to give some props to Damian Priest here because obviously I know Bad Bunny is really good in the ring, but he also did really well in terms of entertaining us basically and doing his job. So even though Bad Bunny eventually went over and defeated Damian Priest, which we'll get into a lot more about that in a moment, you got to give some Damian Priest, I think, some props as well.
Oh, you do. Damian Priest, I mean, major props to him and Bad Bunny. You said it. He's a megastar, and he's coming back to Puerto Rico. Damian Priest also has, I think, grew up in Puerto Rico or has some kind of Puerto Rican descent. Yeah, so it was all very cool to see. And you're so correct, Benny. Damian Priest, was kind of toying with Bad Bunny in the corner and just really had that condescending attitude like a good heel needs to be. It didn't matter if the crowd was loving Bad Bunny. Priest is your heel. He's the bad guy. And I mean, Damian Priest was just very entertaining. These guys pulled out all the stops, and we don't want to give anything away here either. I mean, there was definitely spots that could be highlights. Don't get me wrong, but we'll save it. I just want to say I was very just taken back by how good these matches are just on this card, and this was another example of it. Damian Priest and Bad Bunny just tore the house down literally. I mean, they were fighting everywhere because it was a San Juan street fight.
Yeah,
and I'm just so happy for both of them. But I really did not expect Bad Bunny to win the match, though.
I didn't either. We both said the same thing that we said. Damian, no disrespect to Bad Bunny, but Damian Priest should go over. But do you know what? In the context of what happened from start to finish, it was just one of those matches that at the end, even though you're watching it on TV, you go, "Whew, that was cool." And there was a
I gotta admit, I had chills just from the crowd response and just how well. And I believe they laid out that match, whether it was the two guys in it. I would think Damian Priest probably being the veteran or whoever was producing it. They did a magnificent job because this shouldn't have been this good.
It really was. We're not going to move by move. We don't really do that on the show. But there was some, weapons involved. There was a trolley with a shopping cart, I think you call them. But with weapons in, as you can imagine, kendo sticks with chairs. They all got used in some sort of fashion. As the match went on, as you'd imagine, Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio got involved to help Damian Priest. Then Rey Mysterio comes out, tries to help out Bad Bunny, and then I did not expect this. Although, again, like you said, it makes perfect sense in hindsight. But Carlito coming out, and the crowd again went absolutely insane. Even I popped for this because I've always liked Carlito. The character of Carlito, I've always liked. The healthy eating superstar I always used to refer him to because of the whole apple eating and stuff. But wearing an LWO shirt, I will say as well. And he looked in freaking really good condition.
He still looks great. He looks like he hadn't aged, other than he's got a goatee now. It's
that's it.
It's unbelievable. Still got the big hair. The LWO shirt was perfect. I love the apple spot. When he bites into it, it's just like he wasn't gone that long ago, even though it's been some years. It's remarkable. But yeah, Caribbean Cool made a big entrance. I'm like you, Benny. My fandom was running all over me. It wasn't Hulkamania. Maybe it was Carlito Mania. It was
Apple
something else.
Mania.
I mean, he was. Yeah, I mean, just the apple. He eats healthy. It made me want to buy an apple because God knows I need to eat better. But I'm still not as cool as Carlito, but I love it. I thought it made sense. Like you say, you don't realize it, but they were in Puerto Rico. He's the son of Carlos Colon, and but Carlito himself is a big star. I just love the history of these places with wrestling, like everything else or anything else, however you word it. But no, it's hard not to agree with you. This was a show where me and Benny can't really disagree much.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
I'm just it's tough.
You said earlier, like, in hindsight with the whole Savio Vega being backstage. Oh yeah, that makes sense. But just because it makes sense and you think that will happen, it doesn't mean that these people can be booked. They might be doing something else. They might not be available. So. But I will admit, Cully, even though in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh yeah, Carlito's from around here, isn't he? Yeah. So, but I never, I would have, if you'd have said, I don't think Carlito was going to be there, I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense, but I probably don't think so. But how it all panned out was really good. The 619 on Dom and then the apple spit into his face. The crowd loved it.
The backstabber.
The backstab. I love that move. I always used to cringe at it, but I do like
it's a great move. Oh my gosh. And it still looks great.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. A lot of people may be rusty, and I'm not taking away from stars that return that I'm sure they're training. But Carlito, it's like he's not lost a step. The guy just came in there and looked like he can go. I mean,
I'd like to see him back actually.
Somewhere? Yeah.
Yeah. Why is he not
Me
somewhere?
too.
Yeah, that is a good shout. We'll have to look into more of that. Carlito watch or something.
No, we will. I think there's already been some news, so we need to do that. Let's get the private investigators involved, and we'll get on it, folks.
It was just a very cool, just a cool moment. Again, I know I probably should not have given it, because didn't he come back during the pandemic era briefly?
He did a Royal Rumble, wasn't it?
Oh, that's it, Rumble. That's it.
Rumble.
Yeah, that's it. I forgot about that. I mean, he's what, 40? Yeah, he's 44 years old. He can still go. He doesn't look 44. I'll give you that. He doesn't look 44.
He looks great. Yeah, he doesn't even look 40 something. He looks like he's 30 something or younger.
It would be amazing if he could come back. I mean, I don't know what the why he left. Whether it was just a short-term thing or whether I'm just reading a report here. Yeah, apparently, the Savio Vega and Carlito thing was planned a month ago, so they've had that under their hat for a month. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't see it coming. So
I didn't either. Even though they were in Puerto Rico, I'm like you. Even if it's the back of our minds,
like you said, it makes sense, but doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, does it? So just because WrestleMania is happening doesn't mean The Rock's going to be there or Stone Cold's going to be there. You'd like to see it.
Doesn't mean The Rock or the Texas Rattlesnakes making an appearance, which honestly, Cody Rhodes brought up something. I know we're going to get back on Backlash, but you said it and brought it up with WrestleMania as it relates to that. Cody Rhodes did say, with all due respect to The Rock and Stone Cold, we don't necessarily need them. And he was right. I mean, even though I love those guys, I don't know that you always need a big surprise or a big star, because you've got enough stars that you're concentrating on. So, yeah, that's why I brought it up.
But obviously if you do it every year, then people expect it. If you don't do it every year and you only do it like maybe every couple of years, or every 3 years, every 4 years, you want to see these people, but it means more when they've been away. Obviously big moments like, so where are we? What was it this year? 39 WrestleMania? So
yeah, 39.
So 40, I'm going to assume we're going to see a lot of legends because it's 40 years of WrestleMania, so that makes perfect sense. So maybe that's why we didn't see him this year, because 40
is
a
special occasion.
Exactly. There we go. It's the last thing really to say on it. It was just a good match, and it was it was a better than it had any right to be. Yes, it had some outside interference, but we expected that. But Savio Vega even came out and blocked the escape for Judgment Day. And then, it was just all. And then the rest of LWO came out, so everybody got a little bit of stuff going on. So,
yeah, they got their shine. I'll just go back to that word. I loved how Savio, his music came out. And the funny thing, I don't know his music what it used to be, so that was good, because I still didn't think about Savio coming out, even though we saw him backstage. And then here he is, and I'm like you, Benny. I'm like the crowd there. I'm on my feet. Even if I'm sitting down somewhere, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Savio Vega. What's happened? This is late '90s, mid '90s.
I'm in a time warp somehow. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm instead of Back to the Future, I'm going back to the past, and I love it.
The match that won me the night, the 6-man tag team match, the Bloodline against KO and Sami Zayn, the tag team champions. Now, all right, we'll just go right there. The Bloodline did defeat them. Matt Riddle took the pinfall. I think I said that. I could be wrong. Doesn't matter. Good match overall. It was a bit of a slow starter, but overall, I mean, this had to follow the street fight, so you just had the local heroes out and stuff. So the crowd were a bit. I wouldn't say they were quiet, but you could tell it was a bit.
But it settled.
It settled a little bit, but it did. This match had a bit of a slow build, but it got the crowd back into it, didn't it? But
it did.
The biggest thing I took from this, Tyler, I don't know about yourself, was the interaction between Solo and Jey Uso, especially near the end of the match. Of course, last week on SmackDown, we had Paul Heyman giving out orders and was meant to be. So it seems like Solo's meant to be taking out the Usos, or Jimmy, or Jay, or both. I don't know. But he keeps getting thwarted. And as this match went on, and then the stuff backstage, Solo seems to have no patience for his older brothers.
No, he doesn't. I mean, it shows.
But, I mean, the match was really good, by the way. So let's just talk about the match a bit. But, I mean, overall, it was a great 6-man tag team match. Backlash is actually quite famous for 6-man tag team matches, isn't it, really? If you think about it, going through the history of it.
No, I mean that's one of its hallmarks, the standards. No, you're correct. 6-man tags are essential to the format, per se, of the Backlashes throughout history.
Well, titles have changed that way. Rock, I remember beating, was it Rock, Taker, and Kane, I think, against Vince, Shane, and Triple H, who was the champion. And whoever got the pinfall over Vince's team, Triple H's team, would become WWE champion. And I think Rock pinned Vince, I believe. I want to say 2001, but I could be wrong on that. But or maybe no, I don't. Yeah, 2001, I think. I don't know. Either way, and there's one in Backlash in 2003. You've got Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels and Booker T taking on Triple H, and I think Evolution at the time. So it seems to be a thing. And then you got Randy Orton winning the title as well against Triple H. Vince and
we
Shane
at
again.
least have one. Yeah, it's tradition.
So this is a good way of getting that story in terms of like one last time almost in terms of KO and Sammy and Matt Riddle. But
yeah, due to the draft.
Of course. But so there's a bit in the match where Jay is looks like he's got Sammy in his sights. He looks like he's about to do some big move. I don't know what he's going to do. And then Solo tagged himself in. The crowd kind of responded to this. I was like, oh, okay. So Jay...
It made it intriguing.
It did. And then Jay, he got out the ring. And he went, okay, I got the ring. Then he tagged himself back in quite hard on his brother's chest. And then the crowd just erupted even more. Like, oh, it's going down. And it all sort of plays out. But the thing I want to draw your attention to, Tyler, is the bit where everybody got taken out. Solo, I think Matt Riddle was already out. He managed to take out KO and Sammy to a degree. And then Jay came up behind Solo, and Solo grabs Jay by the throat. And now, admittedly, you could say he didn't know it was his brother. And then he did, but he held on a bit too long. And then Jay started screaming at Solo, I'm your brother. And then there's a line there. He goes, I'm your brother, not his. As in referring to Roman Reigns, I would assume. And it's just going to make SmackDown a lot more interesting in terms of what's going to happen, because Roman's going to be there this week, apparently. So...
No, he is. Roman Reigns are actually going to be in my home state. I'm kind of jealous. It's in Knoxville, which is just a couple hours in East Tennessee, where SmackDown's going to be at, in Bianca Belair's hometown. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of huge, monumental things, at least we're expecting to occur with Roman returning on SmackDown, what we're seeing played out on from what the results were at Backlash. I think we're not only seeing cracks, we're starting to see the culmination of the Usos being ousted of the bloodline, or Solo's, with that whole ordeal that you just laid out so beautifully, by the way, with, the dissension that are in the ranks with Paul Heyman, with Jimmy and Jey Uso, with Solo being that enforcer. We're starting to see him starting to do more of just that, enforce rules, enforce maybe the instructions that either Heyman give him, or more importantly, the ultimatum that Roman Reigns gives all of them. And yeah, that is very compelling that Jey Uso would say, listen, I'm your brother, but Roman Reigns is not. He's a cousin, but we're siblings. And even though we're family, and the dichotomy and the way they're laying out this storyline, this is what's going to resurrect any criticisms of it, I believe, because you've got this Solo interaction with his brothers, what happened, the story that they're doing, the nuances of the story. Let me get to the point here. I digress. You said it with the tags in and out, the frustration, the body language, the demeanor. It's all part of the psychology of the matches. Was outstanding. And I can't wait. You're so correct. I can't wait to see what develops on SmackDown.
Yeah, we'll get into a little bit more of that in a moment, because I want to, let's get the... but yeah, it was a good match. I enjoyed it. But yeah, it mainly, again, as good as the match was, it's the blimmin', like, the story of the bloodline, again, was still, even though by, like, Rumble and Mania and Elimination Chamber, we thought it was kind of coming towards an end. It doesn't seem to be. It's still going, and there's another twist coming here. So but what that is yet, I have no idea.
None of us do, but it's fun, and we've had our theories, and it's been exciting to kind of dissect it. BenNny, I mean, I'm at a loss for words. It's just been so good, and I don't mean to be over dramatic, but just to think of how you would describe it, because like you said, there's been so many twists and turns, and now we're getting another twist. Just more chapters to be written.
Absolutely, yeah.
Would suffice for this story overall, this story arc.
Yeah, which we'll talk about a bit more in a moment, because I think it's gonna. Well, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. So we're going to talk about the World Heavyweight Championship in a moment after this match. So I think it may all lead into it. I have no idea, but again, we'll find out. But the main event of Backlash was Cody versus Brock Lesnar. I on accident or not, I don't know, but I have not seen that much blood probably since, I want to say maybe Randy Orton at SummerSlam a few years ago. But I tell you what, it reminded me of the old days of Ric Flair.
It's been a long time.
Ric Flair being busted open, I tell you. It was this was a good match, actually. It started how I expected, quickly. Cody jumped out the ring and went after Brock very quickly before the match started, trying to get one up on Brock. And I think that's, if you look at any of Brock's defeats, most of them will come from catching him off guard and trying to, frustrate him, I guess, which...
Keeping him off balance.
Exactly,
yeah. Perfect off guard.
Yeah.
It relates, yeah.
I thought this was a really good match, to be fair. The blood actually came from the ring pad being moved, and Brock, I don't know whether he mistimed it or tripped or whatever, or whether he's meant to do that, or I don't know, but he ended up with a pretty decent cut just above his nose, in between his eyes, and I was surprised. But I wasn't until I watched it again, Tyler, that I realised that Brock seemed to not face the hard cam as much. So even though you could see it in terms of it was happening in the blood and it was everywhere on his, on his chest and all that, he did seem to stay away from looking into the camera a bit more, even though he did catch a few glimpses of it.
Yeah, and I think that was important. So, the hard cam couldn't pick up, how he had to do it. And I think maybe he did it the hard way. The only reason I knew that it was probably not accidental is I think definitely it was planned. I'm not saying we expected it was accidental. Definitely was part of the match. But I was reading somewhere, I thought, and once again, I know you can't always believe every report you read online, but they're saying that they definitely plan to have some blood in this matchup, I guess because it was personal. And I'm glad you brought up Ric Flair. I guess it takes you back to like Cody's father, Dusty, and Rick, and the old NWA and, territorial matches. And then even seeing Ric Flair, later on in the 2000s after WCW with the WWE, he would bleed quite a bit. It goes back to that old school kind of way they did it.
Yeah.
But Ted, I'm glad you brought up about the hard cam. I wouldn't have thought about it, but I am so glad that's why you're the host and you brought it up to my attention, because that now I want to go back and look at it, even if it's just that small clip or portion of the match.
I would assume it was done. I know it's on pay-per-view or premium live events, as they're called now. But obviously, I think wrestling, you don't need blood every single match. But certain matches, I think, this is personal. And it looks like it's going to be personal going forward, which we did say, didn't we, a few weeks ago, that we think we might see a extended run of this. But, yeah, I think, again, whether by design or not, I think it probably was. But he did see, because if you remember, he picks up Cody for the F5. He didn't look at the hard cam, which like he normally does. So if you think about it from that perspective, he faced the crowd, and we didn't. So the crowd are going to see it, but we can see the blood in the ring and on his chest and on Cody's, ring tape, the tape on his hands. Sorry, I feel like he made whether he was told or made a conscious decision to make sure when he did the F5, he faced away from the camera, so this blood wasn't broadcast as much.
It didn't look obvious.
Yeah, so, but no, it was a really good match. We don't normally break down match, Cody hit some good moves, Brock had some good moves, the crowd were really into this. I would say they cheered, I'm not going to say it's 50-50, I would say it's probably more 70-30 for Cody, but I think Brock had his fans there, definitely. But ultimately, the Kimura being locked in and the way Cody reversed that into a pin was... I wouldn't say it's an RKO out of nowhere, but it definitely happened very quickly.
It surprised. I mean, it did what it needed to do, for sure. Certainly, Benny. And, yeah, I did not expect the kind of finish we got or received anyway or anyhow. I mean, it was, it was just the finish was unique. But I don't mind those because – how else are you going to beat Brock Lesnar? I think that's the point. And just when he thought he had Cody in the submission, sure, everybody thought, oh, well, Brock's going to go over. Well, not so fast. Cody was able to be resilient and use his own momentum to get Brock Lesnar over, like you said, in the pin. And I'll just, touch upon stuff you've already mentioned. I like how Cody did come out, going through the ropes, attacking Brock, jump starting the thing. That's what made it exciting. Why not? Because you've got this guy that's a beast of an athlete. He's won all these titles in other sports. I mean, this guy's the real deal. He's legit and taking nothing away from the American Nightmare, but he took it to the beast. And yeah, I felt like the fans were, 150-50, but that's good math because I was never good at math anyway. So 70-30, I'm going to go with it because you are definitely probably a lot smarter than I am, especially in math. And that was about right, though, because Brock's got his following, but, man, Cody is just – he has been over, man. I mean, fans react to him. I mean, he WWE and himself have to be just ecstatic over the kind of reactions and the press and the matchups that he's been able to put together. Credit to both him and Brock. I thought this was didn't go too long, but when they had enough time and did what they set out to do, I guess in other words. It was very good. That's what I'm saying. It was the theme of the show, Backlash. All these matches serve different purposes, but they all really surprised us with how well they were executed.
Yeah, I can't put it any better than that. Yeah, good show overall. If you haven't seen it, even if you know that, if you've listened to us from start to finish, even if you know all the results, to be honest with you, it's one of those ones that I think I would quite easily go back to, maybe in a year or two's time. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those, every now and again you pick out a pay-per-view. Oh, I remember that was really good. I'm going to watch that one. So, or maybe you pick out matches from that selected pay-per-view because you remember certain ones. So yeah, I
would review it.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. We might be looking back at this next year, maybe. I think we might have to, Tyler. Occasionally,
why not? Hey, yeah, this would be another instant classic, and I'm safe to preference it. That hey, you need to go back and watch again. I would say that to the listeners of your show, Benny, to us individually or collectively. Hey, yeah, we need to review this. It really impressed. I mean, it was a really good show.
Even Raw, actually, the night, obviously not the night after now because it's Saturday, then into Monday, but even Raw was overall a pretty good show. It was mainly focused around the two triple threat matches. to then decide who would go to the main event of Raw to, be one of the finalists for the World Heavyweight Championship. Anything on Raw apart from that grab your attention, Tyler? Or
Zoe Stark debuting was cool. I think I'm happy to see some of the NXT call-ups. Nikki Cross, unfortunately for her, I mean, it was planned. Even some of the stars have to be kind of squashed. I mean, she wasn't completely squashed. She got a little bit of offense in, but this was Zoe Stark's moment. So I want to give props to the women's division, and this is what I'm hoping, Benny, and I can't wait to get your opinion on it, that this will freshen up the women's division, because you just talked about it. Both brands need kind of a restart, and I think Zoe Stark's one of those people that could really interject some new energy, new life into the women's division.
Zoe Stark, I've not seen much of her, in fairness. I've seen bits, because I don't watch much NXT anymore. There's only so many hours in the day, as we say all the time. Impressive debut, obviously. She does remind me a little bit in her style. And again, I'm not saying she just does this, but I thought of Jazz, funnily enough, when I saw Zoe Stark, in a sense of her look and the way she wrestles, really. That's who, I don't know whether it's just the physique on her. Maybe that's it, but,
It could be.
I thought I was
that's a great
parallels.
comparison. Yeah, Jazz could be an influence even. Jazz is a great wrestler, but she was always ripped, and Zoe Stark's in tremendous physical condition.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad you bring this up, because it's not that I forget to be disrespectful, but we just do. We're human, but Jazz is a great illustration.
Yeah,
at least a good one.
We did see Dana Brooke. Unfortunately, she lost in a very short match against Rhea Ripley.
That was not a lengthy match, and Rhea Ripley looked to be dominating. I would concur.
So where that's going to go, I don't know. With her, she has got some sort of. Dana Brooke's got a bit of fan support from sort of like they want to see her and see her have a chance and stuff. Obviously, Rhea Ripley squashed her in minutes. And I will say that was a squash match, to be honest, from my perspective.
I would think so.
Yeah. But again, you don't necessarily come in and start, go straight to the top. There are a select few that do that, have done that in the past, obviously. But I'm intrigued by what could happen. I was surprised that Rhea Ripley still had the SmackDown Women's Championship, even though she's on Raw. I was expecting some sort of trade-off, like we had a few, was it a year or two ago? I know it didn't go to plan.
Between Becky and Charlotte, and that's where the friendship kind of deteriorated as a result.
So unless we're going to see new bouts, maybe, and redesigns, I don't know. We'll see how that pans out, I guess. I don't know whether you saw it, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I don't know if you saw Talking Smack a few weeks ago, but their interaction on there while they were being interviewed after the show was absolutely hilarious. This kind of carried over to Imperium making their, in terms of Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. A very interesting interaction between them backstage. Obviously, Gunther is supposed to be coming back next week, I believe. He's making his Raw debut. So, but Imperium, in terms of those two, lost to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in that match.
Which was also a stellar match, because not only do you have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, I just love Imperium altogether, and whether it's Gunther, my German's not as good, forgive me. With Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. See, Benny says them perfectly. I leave it to me to screw them up. But it was good. And hey, did you catch what Kevin Owens was making fun of them? You know how they're all serious, do their stances, and KO was making some kind of hand gestures. Even stuff like that is just very entertaining. Even adding some comedic elements to this thing. And but man, I thought the match was solid. I mean, how can it not be when you've got those two teams? And yeah, but I'm glad you brought that up. And also, going back to the Rhea Ripley, Dana Brooke thing, how do you feel about Natalya? Maybe this is a good way to kind of get Natalya back on track, because she confronted Rhea Ripley after the beatdown on Dana Brooke.
When she came out, because the way she was dressed, I honestly thought we were about to see a heel turn. I thought Dana Brooke was going to get back up, and she was going to blast her, and like Rhea Ripley and her were going to have this weird sadistic smiling moment, and then they would just start laying into her. Obviously, that didn't happen, but that's for some reason I honestly thought we were about to see a Natalya full-on heel turn, which I think she needs, to be honest with you. But yeah, I didn't see. I'm guessing we're going to see maybe Natalya's going to be the next opponent for Rhea Ripley, I guess.
Rhea.
But
yeah, possibly. I was glad for Natalya to have the moment with Rhea. But there's been so many stops and starts, and I'm not even blaming anybody. I just almost feel bad for the talent, and Natalya's been incredible. She's a great talent and definitely second generation, third generation, realistically. So, yeah, and she's been one of the stalwarts for that women's division before you had the Rhea Ripleys and so forth and so on. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Other highlights, well, and you were going to bring these up because I'm just the co-host, so I'll let you, tell me what you think, and then I can just bounce back off what you lay out.
The only other one I was going to bring up before we talk about the tournament was the Dominic Mysterio actually defeating Xavier Woods in a match on Raw. Obviously, you had Rhea Ripley's help in there, but Dominic Mysterio still, very much a person being very much booed but actually getting a win. Because obviously in the last few times he's had some beatdowns from his dad in LWO and what happened at Backlash. So for him to get a win is good for him, I think. That's really
he needed the victory. He needed to attain the 1, 2, 3 there, and Rhea helping. It's all part of the Judgment Day package. Xavier Woods, I want to see him presented more seriously, but here's why I bring this up. The commentary were saying that they have talked to Xavier Woods. Maybe this is his time to break out. He's done a lot of singles action. We've not seen Kofi yet. Eventually, he'll be on Raw, and Big E, hopefully, maybe even through this serious injury. There's hope. I don't know, but I'd like to see Xavier Woods get away from the comedy a little bit, and I'm not even knocking it because it's New Day, just because I think it's time. Things run their course, and they've been very successful, taking nothing away from New Day, and I respect them. I think they're wonderful, great performers. I'm happy for Dominic, and this was actually a very decent matchup, pretty good. Xavier Woods, I want to see what they're going to do with him. I think he needs a reset in a sense.
I agree. And talking about reset, I know I already mentioned it, but going back to Natalya, I honestly thought we were going to see a heel turn. I genuinely thought that. And the more I think about it, the more
she wore the all black, and normally that's kind of a sign. And
but I think maybe she needs that.
Yeah, she may just need some attitude, more of that persona to come on out. And before we get to the triple threat, I mean, we saw Becky return. Trish was cutting the promo, and I like the wanted posters. That's a nice touch. And
cool.
Trish, this was one of the better promos. Not that Trish can't cut a promo, but I felt like she was a little more condescending. She was a little bit more like hit the music for the man, and everybody expects to see Becky. Well, and we don't see her, and then eventually we do the second time because even Trish is like, wait a minute, stop. I told y'all in production or whoever's running the music. I didn't mean to start that. But, and behind her is Becky Lynch and talking about, Becky's daughter and how Trish's own daughter wanted a Becky Lynch doll was pretty fun stuff. And, I think that was just that's the interaction we needed after, Trish Stratus, speaking of heel turn, she turned on the man, Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I mean, what she did was that one of the best ones I ever saw was Shawn Michaels in Montreal with Hulk Hogan's music coming on. And then everybody was like, haha, I fooled you. Then Bret Hart's music came on. This obviously way before Bret came back and did the whole forgiving thing. And the crowd, and then Shawn Michaels starts laughing in the ring again. Obviously, there's a lot more heat on that because it was Bret Hart in in Canada.
Yeah, it's in Canada. Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, it gave me flashbacks to that. It was good though. I don't know where this is. I mean, obviously they're gonna have a match at some point. I assume Night of Champions because it's in Saudi, I think, isn't it? Instead of Crown Jewel this time, it's Night of Champions.
Yeah, Night of Champions is in Saudi Arabia, and you talk about a busy month for wrestling because we just had Backlash. AEW's having their big show, Double or Nothing. And then you've got NXT having a show. Then you've got Night of Champions. So here in a few weeks, my goodness, we're going to have a buffet of wrestling.
Yeah, it's not long, is it? Really?
No, not at all. Just a couple more weeks. But I'm with you, Benny. I like Trish and Becky having maybe this dream match, and Trish being a heel. I think she does a good job, and Becky as a babyface. We all know how we feel about the man. She's incredible. The only problem I have there's not been a lot to the story, even with other than the promos and kind of the little bit of back and forth. And not that you have to have them confront each other all the time, but
you need something
I
to
don't
keep
know.
it fresh, don't you?
Yeah,
to keep
you
it in
just-
the mind.
Yeah, I feel like it's still missing something. It's hard to put my finger on
I
it, but
agree with
I'm
you.
glad you had mentioned it.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe, if anything, they could have maybe, I don't know, just something with Trish to maybe poke at Becky Lynch a bit more, to the point where
The problem is we're not taking it as serious, even though we don't get me wrong, we're not disrespecting it, but you have to suspend your disbelief. And I'm not sure that even though Trish is a Hall of Famer, and even though as much as the fanfare about Becky, no disrespect to those ladies because I'm a fan. I think maybe that's the problem. We're not. It's maybe a little lackluster. I hate to say it. I'm just gonna have to.
Yeah, no, I agree. But we have got a few weeks to. Hopefully, it'll do something because at the moment it's very little. And
it's floundering a little bit. But hey, remember, patience is a virtue.
Of course,
you remind me of this all the time, and that's what we need to be.
But also, like I said earlier, with the Seth Rollins Omos match, I was like, really? But then they did one promo, and I was like, they managed to do one promo and get me go, I actually want to see this match now. Whereas at the moment, I'm not overly fussed about. I know it's a dream match, and yes, it has the potential to be really good, but I'm not invested yet into the story of what they're trying to tell. I'm hoping they're not resting on their laurels and thinking just because it's Trish Stratus, we don't have to give much story to it. It needs to have a bit more substance to it for me to want to see Becky beat up Trish or vice versa. Obviously, Trish is a heel, so you know what I mean.
It's a proper terminology, the substance. I like the way you articulated that.
I have my moments, so I have my moments.
No, I have my moments, but they're very few and far in between, as you can tell.
So yeah, we have the. I've got my own. We'll talk. Well, I'll tell you. We'll get the results quickly. So we have the two triple threat matches. So Seth Rollins defeats Shinsuke Nakamura and Damian Priest to advance in the tournament, and then Finn Balor defeats The Miz and Cody Rhodes, but he actually pinned The Miz because, on a separate story again, Brock Lesnar reappeared and pulled out Cody and absolutely beat the snot out of him, which has now led, apparently Brock wants a fight, so we are getting sort of round 2 by the looks of it. I assume Night of Champions, Tyler. But Cody...
not a Champions, because, Brock, and this is not a bad thing to say about the Beast Incarnate, but most of the time when they go to Saudi Arabia, do the shows over there, Brock's been known to be one of the main guys, that they'll bring in. So it's not a shock that him and Cody, I mean, that's a big money match. So why not? Let's have it overseas.
Yeah, but at least it's not just, oh, by the way, we're going to have Cody versus Brock in Saudi, because we've actually got a story into this rather than just, let's put this person versus this person. Well, like Crown Jewel, was it last time? Was it Omos and Braun Strowman? They just did that because, and I was like, you should.
They're both big guys.
Yeah, there was nothing to it, and I think that should have been left to build a bit more. That could have actually been a really good match, maybe at Mania, if you'd have left them two apart. Then you have that moment in the Rumble where Braun Strowman's dominating, then Omos comes out, and it would have been so much better for me personally. But obviously, it's hindsight, although I did say it at the time. Anyway, I digress. Finn Balor wins his match. I'm not going to say technically with help, because it looked like Cody was going to close in on the win. We've already talked about this. We'll talk about this a bit more, Tyler, next week with Brock and Cody anyway, because obviously this is ongoing. So we'll talk about that a bit more next week, I think. Once Raw's happened as well, so we'll have a bit more, hopefully a bit more insight to what's going on. But Seth Rollins
Sure.
won as well, and we basically end up with a SummerSlam rematch from many years ago where Finn Balor became the first Universal Champion, Finn versus Seth Rollins. And in the longest callback ever, Finn Balor, any wrestling fans who knows this, Finn Balor got injured at SummerSlam with a bad shoulder with a move to the barricade from Seth. Well, Finn Balor does it to Seth Rollins this time, and we have a whole shoulder selling throughout the entire match. And actually a pretty good main event of Raw, Seth versus Finn, which could quite easily be a Mania match, to be honest.
It could have been on a premium live event, a WrestleMania, whatever you like. Yeah, both these guys are, once again, Finn Balor, let's not leave him out of that conversation as one of the best ever to do it either. So these two guys know each other. I'd love to call back to history. You just laid out Benny and Finn getting some of his redemption, even in storyline on Seth Rollins. And I mean, I'm not going to break it down completely because we want y'all to watch this match. I mean, it's well worth the watch. These two just always give us just remarkable moments and memories, and just the whole match was unreal. I mean, these two prove why they are two of the best.
I'm not going to lie. There was a moment where I thought Finn Balor was going to win because I feel like he's one of these guys, a bit like a Seth Rollins, is overdue. Ultimately, Seth Rollins wins and is the first entrant to go into Night of Champions for the. So he's one step away from the World Heavyweight Championship, Tyler.
He's getting closer, and I'm happy for Seth. Finn is overdue also, but I will say I'm not mad at Seth Rollins getting his opportunity. And it makes me, like you say, SmackDown's becoming more thrilling because we're going to have more triple threat matches to see who's, and then a match even that same night to see who's going to take on Seth at Night of Champions for that title. And man, it's making me look forward to SmackDown and the after draft. With the resetting of the rosters, there's so much to look forward to. I'm just going to sound repetitive, but it's true.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to in this week's SmackDown. My gripe with this, I don't know what you feel about this. I don't understand why after the draft we've now got 2 triple threat matches on SmackDown for SmackDown superstars to compete for the heavyweight championship, which is meant to be exclusively on Raw. So does that mean the person that wins it on SmackDown, if they win the World Heavyweight Championship, does that mean they become a Raw superstar? Seems a bit random.
See that? Yeah, it's a bit confusing. I'm with you. Yeah, because that's my only thing about the tournaments. I like tournaments. I think the concept is good. But yeah, when you lay out and I hear it put that way, it's like, yeah, you just had this draft. We're trying to freshen up the rosters, but oh yeah, and the title was supposed to be exclusive to Raw because you got Roman staying on one brand, but now a SmackDown superstar, if he wins and beats Seth, then yeah, I mean, how's that going to look? So it's a bit bizarre, but knowing WWE and a lot of wrestling, maybe they talk about really suspending disbelief. I mean, I'm perplexed like you and everybody else at times with these, with the creative, but I'm not going to knock it because like I say, or like we all say, we're going to have to wait and let this story develop a little more. But you do kind of sit back and scratch your head at some of these things. So I don't know. It's hard to describe, kind of like we were talking about that 6-man tag match with this bloodline story. This is another very, twist and turn type deal, I feel like, when it doesn't have to be, but it seems to be going that way.
Well, the 6 men that are involved in their respective triple threat matches on SmackDown this week. So Edge versus AJ Styles versus Rey Mysterio. That match in itself is going to be insane. I think there's a case to be made for maybe Edge to be World Heavyweight Champion. This is a guy that retired with that title. I know this is a rebranded one, but for me, it's still the World Heavyweight Championship from a fair few years ago. So again, I don't know. But then we got Bobby Lashley versus Sheamus versus Austin Theory. Now, Bobby Lashley, someone who deserves. Sheamus, who I think deserves as well. So even Austin Theory to a degree, I don't think he's quite there yet, but he's having a great run at the moment as US champion. So I'm happy for him to still be US champion after this, basically.
I'm happy for Theory to still retain and be the United States champion. I would. It's hard not to agree with you, Benny. And I think all these competitors are worthy. That's what makes it tough. You got these, you said it, Edge and Bobby Lashley. Everybody, just like Seth Rollins, they're all worthy competitors. Even though Finn didn't win, he was a worthy competitor. Cody Brock, we'll talk about that later. He could have been in contention with all that he's went through. So could a Damian Priest. You'd like to see what they could do with him, getting that type or level of push, even though he's getting a great push at the moment. So there's so much to really dissect. I'll just go back and reuse that word that all relate. It makes it very what's the word I'm looking for? I've overused intriguing, but I guess I'll just have to say intriguing.
Yeah.
It's hard to even use because you can't help but say the same words. It's tough to really put it into context. I mean, it really is. And I promise you, I went to English class, and it's still are. The Clash, well, they were a great band, but class, English class.
Either way.
Oh my goodness! Somebody help me! I'm going to make the tag. I'm
help
really
me.
selling. I'm getting beat up here.
But yeah, I just don't understand. I mean, if you started this tournament before the draft, then that would have made sense to me, But I don't. So, like I said, are we gonna be? So, if a SmackDown person wins it, are they going to be on Raw? Is what I'm getting at. Or there's obviously that theory that's been put out, no pun intended, by my one mate, who. What happens if Roman Reigns, maybe one of these participants gets taken out? I don't think so, but I mean, there is always that chance that Roman Reigns ends up leaving bloody Clash of Champions or Night of Champions, whatever it's called, is with 3 belts. Can you imagine the booing? I mean, if you want to, not that he needs any more heat, I don't think, but can you imagine? Can you imagine that? Basically,
he's gonna get a massive amount of heat due to if Cody, we know Cody's not going to win the titles at least anytime soon. Currently, that doesn't mean down the road the possibility. Goodness, can I talk? Is not there. But but Paul Heyman even said it in the promo a couple weeks ago that hey, which kind of is confusing too. But I'll go along with it, where he said, hey, Roman might be interested in that title. So I mean, who knows? And I mean, there could be some kind of loophole where Roman could win the belt. He could be Roman 3 belts. Becky was 2 belts, and now Roman could be 3 belts. There's been the meme.
Roman
maybe
3 belts. Yeah.
You make more titles, and Roman just and talk about getting people mad. But isn't that kind of the gist, though? We kind of miss the point as wrestling fans.
You need a bad guy champion for a good guy to take it off him, and then So yeah, it makes sense, but I don't really understand the whole draft if you're then, because they keep saying the title is exclusively on Raw, exclusively for Raw. So why is SmackDown? I know it was set up before the draft, but why is it? Why? I don't the logic doesn't make any sense. So, like you said, is there something like a big twist coming that maybe we're onto, maybe we're not?
Let's hope so, because you said it though. As much as I'm trying to defend it or find. Well, speaking of logic, that's it. I mean, we don't have. It's not the logistics of it. It's just. I mean, we're wanting to have a draft. The problem with the other drafts, they were great concepts. We had Eric Bischoff as a Raw GM. We had Stephanie McMahon as SmackDown GM. It was great. You'd see interactions with Vince. I mean, there was some good stuff, but then it would always kind of fall apart because you start seeing the stars like we discussed, Benny. You brought it up before where they'd be on the same brands, and then what's the whole point of having a draft? And I just don't want it to get to this way or that way. Let me get the proper grammar here. It would just dilute it. I just hope we're not seeing that, because that does make you worried. So I'm hoping there's going to have to be a twist or some kind of turn, because I don't want to see this thing fall apart already after they've just reset the rosters. I've got more hope. Let's hold on to whatever hope we've got. That's going to be very disappointing if it seems to be, we're going to reward a guy that's on SmackDown to win a Raw title, even though you've got Roman Reigns over here.
It doesn't. Again, like you said, I don't know what or how. But again, another reason to watch SmackDown this week, isn't it? To see who's going to win it, and then obviously that makes us want to see who's going to possibly be Seth's opponent at. Is it Clash of Champions or Night of Champions? I honestly can't remember. I'm terrible.
It's not a Champions. Now Clash of Champions was a pay-per-view, and then I think maybe became a premium live event that they did that when they bought out WCW, because that goes back to NWA stuff or something like that, and WWE started doing it. So yeah, at one time they had a Clash of Champions, but it's became rechristened Night of Champions in a sense.
Yeah. So I was kind of right, I guess. I don't know. Either way, we'll get it right before we get there, so it doesn't matter.
Hey, we're going to research now. You saw where Shawn Michaels and Road Dogg and Triple H are trying to figure out technology. That's how I am. I'm right now trying to get on my keyboard. Okay, Clash of Champions, Night of Champions, 2 Nights of Champions. I mean, Benny's got it correct. Hey, leave it to me to mess it up.
Either way, it's coming up in a couple of weeks, so we'll get more into it. To be fair, man, I think that's it for this week.
That's got it.
SmackDown I feel like is a must-watch this week. Roman's back. We got the rest of the tournament. What's going to happen with Jay and Solo, and there's so much stuff going on. In turn, like I said, even the tournaments. As we always do, Tyler, where can we find you good self when you're not on In the Corner with me on here on SJP World Media?
You can find me at Dustin Tyler 86 on Twitter. You can also find me over at WrestleBuddy.com. I'm hosting the weekly report. That is actually the WB Weekly Report. Weekly, for the most part, when we can, and most of the times, they are released on Sundays, sometimes Mondays. I'll tell you in a couple weeks, it'll probably be more like a Monday with all the wrestling we've just talked about that's going to be happening. And you can find me on this great program with the esteemed host, very knowledgeable, I might add, Benny Mack from In the Corner WWE, who allows me to co-host with him when I can. And also, speaking of another show that's on SJP World Media Network, such as this one, is Back When. It's Danny and myself. That has been a great show. And, Benny will tell you about the other shows on SJP World Media Network, but I had to plug WrestleBuddy and what I'm doing there. Also another show, Benny. You know how we talk wrestling news, and really the weekly report consists of wrestling news.
Yeah.
We are doing a new show called Around the Table Wrestling Scoops. That just means news, in other words, with an insider from a website or at least social media site called The Wrestling Blog. So go check that out. I've been allowed to host that. And so, yeah, I had to plug it just real quickly.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And it's always good to... Back When is actually quite good. I've been catching up slowly, mate, as we go. And some of the conversations have been really good. So, it's on the SGP World Media as well, so you can always check that out. I love your logo as well. Back to the Future style is really cool.
No, it is. Very creative. Yeah, just like with you and Cy doing logos, and I know Cy had a hand in this one, and Danny, however, the collaboration, it is just awe-inspiring. I really am digging the logos. Yeah, it's something about, how people view the logos of shows that do catch your eye.
Yeah, obviously, that's what they're there for. That's pretty much it. You can find myself at Benny Mac on Twitter, at BENNYMACK, or follow the show at In the Corner WWE on Twitter. Tyler, it's always good to chat to you, buddy, and obviously we'll be back next week for some more Raw, SmackDown news, and
it's always fun, Benny.
Whatever else we're going to talk about, basically. So thank you, everybody, for hitting that download button, and we'll see you all again. We will be back next Wednesday, not Thursday. See you all again soon.